Hey friends, it's John Klein III with episode 57 of Shadow and Flame of Magic, the podcast, and we are going to review Realm of X1. So let's get to it. And we're back with regular comics, which is nice. This came out last week, if you're listening to it in real time. And so this is Realm of X. Writer Torunn Grønbekk, artist Djimz Neves, color artist Rain Beredo, letter VC Clayton Cowles, and then designed by Tom Muir and Jay Bowen. Color artist was Stephanie Hans. Production VC Clayton Cowles, editor Lauren Amaro. Senior editor C.B. Cebulski, editor-in-chief Senior editor Jordan D. White, editor-in-chief C.B. Cebulski. I was like, that doesn't sound right. And this is what Magic is doing during the fall of X, forever keeping her away from Cape Pride. So we got the Shadow, we got the Magic, but where's the Flame at? I'm not sure. Cover is an awesome Illyana and Danny coming out of a gate. And let's see here. The ancient forest welcomes her with a sigh. The air is impossibly fresh, stinging her nostrils as she breathes. Magic, Illyana Rasputin. And she's still wearing the Hellfire Gala outfit, which is very nice, all in gold. Which is a fun way to keep the Hellfire, because all these artists make all this time to do these costumes or outfits, and you use them for maybe 30 to 40 pages if you're leading the book, and then they're never seen again. Like, what a fun way to keep it going. For a moment, Magic wonders if she's dead. After all, this place could have been heaven had it not been for all the screaming. So she's running. Magic does not know where she is, but there are familiar faces in the sea of strangers. She wants to fight to help them. And we see Marrow, Sarah Rushman, which I did not know that was her last name. Typhoid Mary, Mary Walker, also did not know that was her last name. Mirage, Danny Moonstar, or Danielle Moonstar. And they're all wearing their uniforms, or their gala dresses. But it is like she has forgotten how. Like a part of her is missing. And we see all these dudes on horses. And we see that... Oh yeah, Dust. Sorora Quadir. And so Dust is there in a white... Oh no, what's the cloak's called? Okay, so her robes, which Google is telling me is pronounced Abayas? I tried at least. So no one knows where they are. The last thing Dust remembers is Orcus attacking and Charles Xavier forcing the mutants to leave. But there was something else. And once again, how he got into Magic's head to control her to go through a gate. Still confusing. A voice. Words spoken. And we give a starting of a fun... running gag where Typhoid Mary does not want to do anything, but is very clear with her commentary. And like Danny's the first one to be like, "Do something!" And Danny's wearing a very nice dress with like a yellow top and a blue gown, and Typhoid's all in black. And then they were pulled from the world. She does not know this place, and though Danny Moonstar makes sense, Dust wonders if she is right. What does that make us? Oh yeah, because Danny says, when someone attacks with overwhelming force, they're usually the bad guys. Which is a fun commentary on like, oh yeah, because sometimes the X-Men just show up and start attacking those who were attacking. We're like, well, maybe we don't know the story. Which Nightcrawler famously got in trouble with in the Dave Cockrum Nightcrawler miniseries, where he goes in different worlds, and it happened in Excalibur too, where he's like, "Oh, this is a pretty lady, I'm gonna go after her," and it's like, "No, she's the bad guy." or bad woman. So Ileana's slowly realized. Oh yeah, she says my powers. I don't have access to them at the moment, so that's not good. Which I guess includes her sword, but still, I mean, she can kick and punch. Like I would not want to get kicked and punched by Ileana. So Dust feels bad. Mary's getting involved for pyro powers. And then Dust does her thing and covers everything in dust. And has such control over it that, she's able to make little pockets where she leaves her team alone. The storm spares all who lay down their arms. There is no pain for those who do not. When the dust settles, which is fun, the battle is won. But there is no celebration. And then the gentlemen all invite them to come with them to their land. They all speak English, which is nice. And it's fun that Typhoid Mary not recognizing... I'm part just shit call her Mary going forward. There's no other Marys. She tries to speak, saying... talking different language, and they're like, we speak your language. And they were anticipating them. Oh yeah, so the leader of them is named Chabin, leader of the house Mut, M-U-L-T. And they're in the Vanaheim. And of course Danny recognizes that from her Asgardian days, her Valkyrie days. Oh yeah, and they recognize that they're missing Curse. But they're not recognizing, which makes the ladies wonder how they even know their names. Much less someone so new like Curse. Oh yeah, Mara's wearing a nice green dress. That's fun. Here we go. Violence of Victory. This is the recap page. What should have been a joyful night welcoming a newly elected X-Men team and celebrating mutant kind turned into a nightmare following Orcus's vicious assault of the Hellfire Gala. In an act of desperation, Professor Xavier uses powers to force as many mutants as he could to walk through the nearest Krakoan gates in a hope of sending them to safety. Magic, Mirage, Dust, Curse, Typhoid Mary, and a handful of other mutants, which is fun because it's like you don't know everyone just yet. Or if later we need to be like, oh no, they were there the whole time, then that's how you figure it. I can imagine pitching the book, they're like, these are our characters, and then editorial is like, use these two as well. The gates, walk through the gates, but while they managed to escape one battle, they seem to have fallen straight into another. Only now they have no idea where the universe they are, and with Magic's teleportation powers on the fritz, they truly have no way home. And the cast officially is Magic, Mirage, Typhoid Mary, Dust, Marrow, and Curse. Well, I'm not that familiar with Curse, but during the Hellfire Gala, before she went to the gate, she cursed Xavier, so... we gotta see what happens there. Oh yeah, moments before, Curse is delighted, and she's wearing and she's like a pink mutant with, like a Bart Simpson hairstyle. And a very pink dress, which is fun. All those troll things on Piggy sure made her escape a lot easier. She does not know where she is. Only that she's far away from Magic's grip and Xavier's stupid yapping. And although she is vaguely aware that she is completely lost, it feels like a problem for future Curse. She does not feel it, but there is anticipation in the air. Eager eyes watch her every move. And then we see a pack of wolves are about to come at her, and she shouts, "Wash your mouth!" Waiting, hoping. And then, when the jinx hits, there is relief. And as soon as she says it, they start drinking from the river, which causes them to have all types of bubbles coming out of their mouths. And the wind seems to whisper, "It begins." And so we see Mary, the team coming back to the House of Mirror, and Mary still just causing a bunch of grief. Danielle Moonstar reaches for the minds of the creatures near her. Unspoken questions are answered through invisible bonds. They have not seen the child. They have not seen Curse. But they are willing to help, so all the birds go flying to see. Magic feels helpless. and guilty. They might be doing everything they can to find her, but the forest is endless. The sun is setting. Oh, molt. And so they finally get there. Mary's not pleased that the house is not an actual house, but more like a gathering of people under with a big protective wall around them. And she knows that no one will find Curse unless she wants to be found. Then we see two more trolls coming up against Curse, and she's trying to be friendly with them, trying to convince them. And then we get a little bit of Curse's powers. She says, "You don't want to do that because I do this thing, and I don't know how it works exactly, but I make bad things happen. And someone gets hurt, always either me or someone else. And between us, if someone's going to get hurt, trolleys, it is not going to be me." And so they're understanding her, but not taking her serious. And so she curses, "You useless piles of stone." And then the troll's flesh and bone turns to stone, and the trolleys hurt. The house of Molt 1 hour later. And, I don't know why, but dust is coming out of a vase. And Mary's like, "Oh, for a bleep's sake, dust. I was eating that." And so dust has been souring around. Oh, yeah, so I guess, if I'm looking at this art correctly, so all the dust was coming back to one central location. It just looks like it was above a cup. And so they cannot find Curse at all. And then the lead guy comes back saying, "Well, let me explain to you how we know so much." So he wants to take them to show them. The power still echoes in the stone, like reality has yet to catch up. And we see a lady. Oh, yeah, the White Witch can sense it, smell it. And as soon as they say White Witch, I was like, well, it's not Emma, so who other White Witch could it be? And I was pretty happy to guess it correctly. She tries gathering her considerable power. She attempts to undo Curse's jinx. And it doesn't quite work. For a lifetime, Trabin has wondered what he would say in this moment. Oh, yeah, because it's been prophesied that some heroes were going to come. How he would explain the nature of this realm. How the future is in the very air they breathe. How it guides them. And this whole time I've been picturing a book or some sort. And how lost they feel now that it has gone dark. So here's the prophecy and warfare. The use of divination as a tool in warfare has yielded variable results throughout history. During the First Age, when Llyloed, son of Buri, brother of Mimir and Bor, ruled the realm, divination was primarily employed as a means of motivation rather than a tactical resource. Warriors who knew their lives would be forfeit in battle would enter the fray with an unwavering determination and die with honor, fighting with veracity and underlying courage. There was until Vazir the Wise posed the following questions. If the warriors had not been privy to the prophecy of their demise, would they have still perished, or would they have fought with more prudence and survived? These questions plagued the Vanir, and the notion of altering destiny rather than submitting to it was born. This concept was successfully implemented multiple times, most notably on 2 occasions. Before the war with Asgard, it is believed that there was catastrophic prophetic visions of the impending battle that inspired Freyr to seek the aid of Surtur. Historians contend that this decisive act saved Vanaheim in the early stages of war and enabled the Vanir to hold their ground against the Asgardian forces. When Fenrir, renowned for his pride, humbly sought the aid of the fire giant, he acknowledged his own weakness. It is believed that this was the key to changing the fate of the realm. The second notable event occurred when the Vanir chose to forsake their technological advancements and the luxuries of their citadels in favor of a more modest existence. This decision transformed a future shrouded in war, death, and darkness into one of tranquility and peace. It is successful that the Vanir's collective attrition of comfort and ambition was the catalyst that caused fate to shift. The question plagued Vanir scholars now that they took look into the uncertain futures and what the lessons they learned from the past to change their destiny. The coming war with the White Witch is well documented in the Library of Prophecies, which also led to me being like, oh yeah, it's a book. And for decades, scholars and strategists have studied, and strategy is one of those words I can never spell the first time, up there with ridiculous, which for a reason are words I'm constantly using for whatever reason. I have studied the events leading up to the battle in the hopes of finding some key moment to change the attempt to alter fate. When asked about the issue at hand, Haggard Thunson, first strategist of Sadran's army, responded as follows. If the goal is to outsmart fate, it may be necessary to contradict our inherent tendencies. In practical terms, however, I do not know what measures to recommend. Should the Vanir yield to this upstart witch? Never. We know the Four play a crucial part in the battle to come, but will we deny strangers who seek our help? Or going one step further, will we kill those who stand ready to help us? I will argue that sacrificing 4 lives to save the realm is a small price to pay for peace, but it's also hard to believe that peace will grow from bloodshed. War famously begets war. On the other hand, I cannot help but wonder, is it the act of inaction that will doom us in the end? Which was a lot to read. And originally I skipped it, but I was like, wait, no, I gotta read these things. I like to read the narration boxes. And so they're all heading to the Library of Prophecy, still wondering, like, what is all of this? And then all of a sudden we see it. It's not a book after all, but in fact, 4 statues, one of Meryl, one of Mary, one of Danny, and one of Ilyana. But, no, I'm sorry. Meryl, Mary, Danny, and this must be Curse? Because Mary's like, poor little magic. Even fate seems you insignificant. And all of a sudden we hear Horn, Blast, and Magic's like, I'd rather be insignificant than a petulant child. Which is just like, everyone's just giving Mary a hard time, but that's just what Mary does, clearly. Meryl's questions are answered by the scent filling the air. Oh, I'm sorry, it's Dust. It's Meryl, Mary, Danny, and Dust. Obviously, it's Dust. Well, I don't know why. But I don't know if their names are maybe at their feet. But it's like, well, they don't name them, but clearly they know about Curse. But I guess that's one of those names that, if you capitalize Curse, it makes in the middle of a sentence, it's like, oh, this must be a person. Or the Great Curse. As bodies fall from the sky, the stench of death envelops them. It feels like a play, a move in a game they do not understand. And so the ladies go on the rescuing, saving people, catching people, and they are losing. Birds show up and grab a little kid, and a giant eagle captures this kid and flies off. Mary burns another eagle, and another one catches the kid anyways, and they fly off. A few minutes later, the boy's quiet cries quiver through the air. Meek and horrifying, it is the sound of terror. The witch watches with bated breath, wooing Curse to take the bait. And so the kid's like, help me! And Curse just has a mouth on her, which is fun. Willing to use her power. Willing her to save him. And then, so Curse demands that the kid gets put down. She says, pluck you! And then, but at the same time, it gets like scratched. I guess one of the eagles scratch her arms in a failed attempt to pick her up. And then all the eagles lose their feathers. You know, they're plucked. She wants to see what happens. And so she saves the kid from going over the waterfall. Oh, no. She's about to reach for him. The witch teases the currents and breaks the branch. It will kill him unless... And then Curse shouts, go home! Reality yields, and then he just shows up right in front of his mom. And Curse hurts, so it hurts her. She's like bleeding from her mouth and hands. Like the pain she stole from the world must be taken from her. So now they know that Curse is at least around. And then we get the big reveal. Saturnine finds, to her surprise, this is not an act. And even if it's not exactly love, she cares deeply for this girl, this child, this weapon. As we all know, Saturnine does like a young protege. I know people are complaining because she has very blonde hair here. And I don't know if that's just a way to distinguish that this is not an alternate version of Emma Frost. This is Saturnine with very blonde hair. But I think her wearing a full body dress, purple belt, purple necklace, like there's enough we can restore Saturnine's silver locks. I think it should be possible. Plus, to the left of the page says Saturnine, so you know it's not Emma. Anyways, thus the burden of being a Saturnine fan. And then we get diary entry by Letherin Autrition, head librarian in the Third Age, the Library of Prophecies. A young man arrived in the library today. Only 14 winters old. He had a particular gift for sight, yet he did not see it as that. A gift. He could not understand the values the images flickering through his mind could be to anyone. I told him, as I always do, that we are not to know. It will make sense when it makes sense. If I'm being honest, more often than not, too late. He asked me why we do what we do, and I told him, as I always do, that this is all we have. We can record, we can seek understanding, we can listen to the warnings of destiny and attempt to heed them. That is all we have and all I do. Resigned, he shared his site, file 29712B, which is interesting. But we learned earlier, they're not like villagers. They come from technological advancements, so no, they're just choosing to live simpler. But it doesn't mean they don't have a handy computer that keeps track of all their libraries. Like maybe, in a village of wood, they have one room of stone and cables, and just projecting. But I imagine maybe that's what it is, because if you're going to have a number that deep, you probably have like a computer that cross-references all that. He told the same story I heard many times before. He sees 4 strangers, the same 4 of whom all visit here see. One of fire, one of fear, one of sand, and one of bone. So Danny's the one of fire? No. Danny's the one of fear, of course. And fire is Mary. And bone is marrow, and sand is dust. He sees the battle. He sees the white witch on the white horse leading an endless army. He sees the Vanir fight back, and he sees the unknowable chaos, followed by inevitable nothing. So far, his account was much like the others, and he said something strange. He said that chaos laughs, the chaos plays, the chaos is righteous, and open and bright. I was stunned. This does indeed suggest that the chaos is a creature, maybe even a sentient one. It suggests that the chaos could be reasoned with. For the first time since I took this wretched position, I feel hope. The young man looked relieved to have unburdened himself. Before he left, he asked me, like so many before him, "What's the point of life when you know what will happen in the end?" I answered, as I always do, that endings are rarely the point of anything. All that life ends the same, after all. That they end in death. And so it looks like following the fall, we have Magic fighting. Is it Mary? Someone with black hair? Yeah, I don't know. So out this week, Deadpool 10, Jean Grey 1, which was pretty fun. Featured a young Kitty Pryde, like 10 instead of 13, maybe even 9. I could be 9, same age as Walker D. X-Force 43, Miss Marvel, New Mutant 1. Which I should check to see if Kate's in that. Wolverine 26, Immortal X-Men 15, Uncanny Spider-Man 1, which I should look for that one too. X-Men 26. Oh yeah, so this must be the issues out next week. Or I don't know, recording this on a Tuesday, so tomorrow. Astonishing Iceman 2, X-Force 44, and X-Men Red 15. And so ideally I would just be reviewing X-Men 26 and Realm of X 2. And then getting some of these back issues I have pulled and ready to go, but keep pushing off to stay current. And I don't want to do like 2 bonus episodes a week, but maybe once Inferno ends, I can maybe do, because I do have like comics I want to do this year. But I've also added 8 more for the Loki tie-in and for the Marvels tie-in. So, I don't know. it's just desires and goals I have. But so that was Realm of X issue 1. Pretty good comic thus far. Um, excited about others that are coming out. This Fall of X is a very exciting time. And thank you so much for listening. You can follow me at Jackal SII on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky. You can follow the podcast at SNFWM on Twitter and Instagram. I'm tempted to. Well, I'm on Threads too, but I don't really use that as much. But I'm tempted to use my one Blue Sky code to get the podcast on Blue Sky, but I don't know. I'm hesitant to do that because what if I want to just off-write? Someone's like, hey, does anyone have a code? And I can offer it to them instead of being like, well, I wasted mine. Though now I think I invited the podcast, like I was invited and then I got a code, so maybe the podcast would get a code as well. I can look into it. But, so if you would if you would please subscribe and maybe ask a friend to subscribe and then give the podcast a 5-star rating, really appreciate it. And I will talk to you next time for an Inferno tie-in. All right, everyone. Bye.